This video has been made possible by Rebusfarm, the professional render service.
Hey guys, my name is Mike Hermes and welcome to my channel. Alright guys, well today we are going to talk about a question that I get quite a lot, and that is how to deal with paper in Maya. Now what do I mean by that? Okay, so once in a while you run into a scene where you need to have a page turned or a piece of paper rolled up or folded or maybe, blown away by the wind, anything like that. So that's what we're going to do in our tutorial today, and that said, let's jump in and get started. Okay, here we go. Alrighty, here we go guys. We're in Maya and we're going to start off by setting up a very basic scene just for the purpose of making it look a little bit nicer before we get into our paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a polygon cube and we're going to use that to create a table. Okay, so we're going to hit R to scale that out and then push that down and maybe pull it out, something like so. All right. Now we're not going to see the sides at all. We're just going to see probably something like this. Okay, so that's what we're going to deal with. And it's always good practice not to deal with stuff that you're not going to see anyway in your scene. So we can either get rid of these faces here if we like. And for that matter, we could actually have created a plane as well. But I'm not doing that because I'm going to right click and go to edge. Take these two edges and go up to edit mesh and bevel, just so we get kind of that rounded effect if needed. Okay, I'll increase the number of segments here, and that could just be the difference in our scene as far as lighting is concerned. Okay, cool. So I'm going to right click at object mode. I'm going to select this guy. I'm going to go to UV and let's do an automatic projection. And then I'm going to go back to UV and UV editor and let's see what we have. All right. Now this is the main area that we're going to see, probably for 90%. So we don't really have to do a lot here. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go to object mode. So right click object, select the whole thing, right click assign new material. Let's do a Lambert. And I'm going to go into my attribute editor, hit Control A to pull that up, hit the checkered box. I'm going to select File, Folder, and then let's see, I'm going to go and find a wood texture. Hang on, let's do this one. We'll hit our checkered box here just to make that visible. Now you can see that the direction is off. Well, at least I think so. So I'm going to select it. We're going to go up to UV and UV editor. We're going to right click at a shell and we're going to select all of this stuff. We're going to hit E to rotate, hold down J to snap it in sections of 15 degrees. And now you can see that the direction is okay. We need to hit W to bring that into the 0 to 1 space, and that just fits, so that's good. Okay, so we got that. Now I want to have kind of some 3D effect on that. So I'm quickly going to jump into Photoshop and we'll create a normal map for this. Hang on. And there you are. I just opened up that same texture file, and with that open, I'm going to go up to Filter and 3D and generate normal map. Okay. We'll just give that a sec. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, so here we have the option to choose to what extent we want this to be. So let's just tweak that a little. I just want to have some visibility, not too much. Okay, we'll do that. All right, let's hit OK there. So this looks fine. I'm going to go and save that out. So File, Save As, and I'll call this Wood to Normal. Save that, and there we go. Let's jump back into Maya. Okay, we're going to right click at object mode. We're going to go and find our material, which is a Lambert 2. We're going to go down to bump mapping, hit the checkered box, select File. Then here I'm going to choose, instead of bump, a tangent normal. Okay. And then I'm going to go into File, folder, and look for my normal map here. Okay. And then we're going to go to bump here, and let's see if we can tweak that a little. I'm going to just quickly create a light here so we can kind of see what the effect is here. Let's do a point light and hit 7 on my keyboard so we can see it. And then let's go back into our material, into the bump value here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I guess that's fine. All right. So let's get rid of that light here. We don't really need that now. So we'll delete that. We'll hit 6 to turn light back on. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our page. Okay. So for that, we'll take a polygon cube. We'll pull that up a little bit. Hit R. Let's pull that out, push that down. Obviously, we're going to make it very, very thin because it's paper. And then let's tweak that shape a little bit. Let's maybe create something like that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do there is we're going to go up to UV and automatic projection once again. Actually, I used planar before, but this should work out okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply a texture to the top here. So I'm going to select that face, right-click face, right-click assign new material. Let's do a Lambert, that's fine. And then in our attribute editor, we're going to hit this guy, go to File, Folder, and I have a page right here. Now I have no idea what's on this page. I didn't read it. I just took a random image. So, you know, if you start reading it, you know, I'm not held responsible for whatever is written there. Okay. So we got this guy. Looks like we need to tweak that a little bit. So we're going to go up to UV and let's do a planar. That's not good. Let's try automatic, a bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do there is we're going to do that manually. We're going to go up to UV and UV editor, right click shell. Now this is our top page, as you can see. So I'm going to right click, go to vertex, drag select these vertices, and I only want the ones here. So let's hit R and then W to move over. Hit R some more. That is pretty close. Okay, and then we'll just make sure it kind of fits in our 0 to 1 space. All right, cool. Now, for the purpose of time, I'm not going to texture the back there, but obviously you could. So what I'll do there is I'll just go to face, assign new material, Lambert, and we'll just make that white. Okay. Now, one thing is very important. If you want to fold this page in any way, it needs to have subdivision. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. Okay. So we're going to right click, go to object mode. And let's go into insert edge loop, and let's do multiple, and we'll do 10, and then we'll add 10 here, and let's do 8 in that direction. Okay, hit Q on your keyboard. So now if we hit 4 for wireframe mode, you can see that we have subdivision. Okay, and again, no subdivision, no bending. Okay, I hit 5 for Lambert again, and we'll turn on our texture. So now next thing we need to do is right click object mode, hit W and bring that paper down. Hit F to zoom in and bring that in. Okay. Now it's a bit too much, as you can see here. That's better. Now, before we get into rolling, folding, and all that stuff, okay, a piece of paper will never look like this, okay? There's always going to be some little crease, or you know, it's, I don't know, it's been wet or whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click, go to Object Mode, and then right-click to Vertex. We're going to hit B on our keyboard for soft select. Hold down B and left-click and drag to increase the affected area. And for now, I think it's easier to hit 4 for wireframe mode so we can see it better. We're just going to click in a random space, and we're just going to raise the paper up very, very slightly in certain areas. Okay, then we're going to hit B to turn that off. We'll take one of these individual vertices. Let's take them both, top and bottom. Okay, we'll do maybe one here, and maybe one over there. And if you actually want one of these corners to really pop up, if you will, excuse me, we'll hit, we'll go up to the modeling toolkit. We'll scroll down to multi-cut tool. We'll connect that one with that one and hit enter. And then we need to get to the back side there. So I'll connect that. Oops. Let's try that again. Connect that one and that one. Hit enter. That one and that one. Hit enter. Okay. We're going to hit Q on our keyboard. Excuse me. And now we can right-click at our vertex, take that vertex set, hit W, and kind of bring that up a bit. And if you want it to look a little bit more like a fold, you double-click on your Move tool here and change from object orientation to world orientation. So you can, hang on, let's see if that is changing. That's not, that's weird. Okay, we're going to tweak it a little bit. Okay, let's have a look and see what we got. 5 for shaded mode, turn this guy on. Okay, so you have a little bit more sense of a piece of paper. Okay, now what we can try here is, okay, I want to do a soft select there. So there's a couple of ways that I can do that. I can soften the edges, or I can go in to, let's see, insert edge loop, option box, manual setting. I'm going to jump to my top view, and I'm going to put a few in here to kind of hold that space and shape. We'll do one there, we'll do one there, and one over there. Q on our keyboard. So now if we hit 3 to preview, it looks pretty good with the exception of up there. And that makes sense because that's not connected. So I'm just looking to see whether it's necessary or not. It doesn't look too bad right now. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Okay, so we're going to take our piece of paper, we're going to hit E, and we're going to rotate that a little bit. And then just for lighting purposes, we'll go to create lights and point light. Hit W, pull that up, bring that out. Let's see, we'll hit 7 on our keyboard so we can kind of see the effect of our light. We're going to hit Control D to duplicate that, pull that over, move that over here and pull that up a little bit, and we're good with that. I'm going to hit Control A. We're going to go to our point light, which is point light 2 in this case, and we are going to go to shadows, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off ray trace shadows because I only want this light to cast shadows and not that one. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much our scene setup. Let's do a very quick basic render without setting anything else up, just to get a sense of what it looks like. Okay, well, basically, piece of paper on a table, right? I'm going to do one little tweak though. I'm going to have shadow cast from this light and not from that one. And the reason is I have this little fold here on the side and I want to kind of have a shadow cast there. So let's do another quick go. Yeah, little effect. We'll tweak that later, okay? Alrighty, so let's get on with the moving part, okay? So I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to go to deform, nonlinear, and bend. Okay, now that creates a control that is straight up. Now my paper is flat on the table, so I don't want that. So I'm going to start off by hitting E to rotate, hold down J, and start to rotate it until it's level with the table. Okay, now with that done, if I now go into my attribute editor and I go to my bend handle here, I have this curvature slider, and when I do that, you can see that it's curving my page, okay? And depending on how it's set up, if I over curve it, you see that the normals are protruding through each other because this is a two-sided page, okay? If we stuck with the initial plane instead of the cube, you wouldn't have that issue, okay? So this is an easy way to curve a page. Now we're going to set that back to 0. But we want to also see if we can roll a page, okay? So I'm going to rotate that bend handle and point it towards that corner down here. We're going to go back in. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to go back in. And let's see what we do without any settings at all. As you can see, it's moving. But I want to tweak my high and low bound, okay? So by setting the low bound to 0, you can see that this corner is starting to move up, okay? If I don't do that, both corners will, okay? So I'm going to set my low bound to 0, which will only affect that corner. There we go. All right, cool. And then next what we can do is if we hold down W and left click, we can go to object mode on our control, okay? So now if we move that, you can move your entire piece of paper off the table. So let's say you want wind to blow your paper off your table, okay? Now what you can do is, because we now have this control selected, you can keyframe that. So if this is our initial shot here, what we'll do is we'll set up, let's say, a scene of, I don't know, 90 frames, which would roughly be 3 seconds. Okay, I'm just going to double click on this little running guy down here, and I'm going to make sure that my settings are okay. So if I go to settings, I got 24 frames per second, and let's see, I want to use 30 because I'm simply used to doing that. And I want to make sure that as far as animation is concerned, let's see if I get the right setting here. Hang on. Right, guys, it was under time slider. Yeah, sometimes you have to look around a bit to find the right setting. Okay, so for the speed here, I want to play every frame. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so let's save that. Okay, so we're at frame 1, and I'm going to hit S on my keyboard to keyframe that. Okay, and then I'm going to drag this over to, let's say, frame 110. I'm going to move this control way over here, and I'm going to hit S to keyframe that again. Okay, so let's jump back to our beginning. let's roughly get into our scene of what we want to render out. So if I hit play, you see that that's taking off. Okay. Now, as far as speed is concerned, you know, it went pretty fast, a bit faster than I anticipated. You know, you can tweak that by choosing the number of frames that you use. Okay. So I'm at 90 frames, let's say 3 seconds. If you want that to take longer, you would have a bigger number of frames. Now, one thing that's important to maintain this animation is do not delete the history of your scene. When you do that, you will lose your control and you will lose your animation. Okay, so will you be seeing this control in your render? Well, if we just hit that, you can see you will not. Okay, so no worries about that. If you are bothered by seeing that, you can hit Control H to hide it. It's still there, you just don't see it. Okay. All right, so that's that. That will give you a possibility to animate it. And again, you can take that control and turn it around. I'll do one more quick example for you. And we'll take just a simple page again. Just pull that up and push that in. All right. So let's say we want to roll this guy up. Okay. Again, we're going to go to Deform, Nonlinear, and Bend. I'm going to hit E to rotate that bend handle. Hold down J to snap it in sections of 15 degrees until it's level with my page. Now I'm going to go to my bend handle and see whether I need to rotate it again. And as you can see, I do. So what we're going to do there is we're going to hold down J again, and we're going to rotate it down to, let's see, that should be it. Okay, so now you can see that this is a way to roll up your paper. By tweaking the levels on high bound and low bound, you will see that with low bound set to 0, the right side of the paper will not respond. Okay, this is what you can do here. And high bound is for the other end. Okay, so if you do high bound 0, nothing happens. If you pull that up a little bit, you can see that you have movement. And once again, if you hold down W, left click on that control and got object here, by moving that control, you can move the entire section of paper, right? And again, by changing the angle, for example, like that, if you then hit W to move it, it will respond in a total different way. Okay, so yeah, it's a couple of things you can do there. Hopefully they will be useful for you, and you can apply them in whatever you're working on. Hopefully it made sense. I just kind of was looking for a way to explain this, but yeah, that said, hopefully it was useful. And if you got any questions, as always, let me know and I'll help you if I can. Okay, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.